It might feel repetitive to admit, but humanity has endured its fair share of suffering. In truth, this shouldn't come as a shock. Pain is woven into the fabric of life itself. Yet, when you take a step back, there's a strong argument that humans have faced levels of hardship that go beyond what most other creatures on Earth have ever experienced. Our first story begins off the coast of Japan, 3,400 years ago, when researchers stumbled upon a skeleton labeled Tsukumo 24. They knew they had found something extraordinary and horrifying. This poor soul wasn't just another prehistoric fisherman. No, he was the first confirmed shark attack victim in human history. His bones told a gruesome tale. Over 790 deep lacerations covered his arms, chest, hands, and abdomen. Some cuts were so severe they reached the bone. Researchers initially thought he had been attacked with a metal weapon, until they noticed the signature V-shaped marks only seen in modern-day shark bites. And get this, both his feet and one of his hands were completely missing. Not due to decay or scavenging. They were bitten off, likely while he was still alive, trying desperately to defend himself. So what happened? Experts believe he was spearfishing with a group. Perhaps he jumped into the water to retrieve a catch, unknowingly stepping into bloody waters that attracted a massive predator, likely a tiger shark or even a great white. He was pulled from the water by his fellow fishermen, but by then it was already too late. A burial followed, a tragic one. But thanks to that, we now know that shark attacks are far from a modern phenomenon, and survival wasn't always an option. Now, not all ancient injuries ended in death. Some are stories of survival and absolute human resilience. Let me take you to Borneo, where researchers in 2020 discovered the remains of a 31,000-year-old individual who had undergone a successful leg amputation, using nothing but stone tools. The skeleton, found in Liang Tabo Cave, was missing a lower left leg and foot. But what amazed scientists wasn't the missing limb. It was the fact that the wound had healed, cleanly, perfectly. That means an ancient surgeon, armed with nothing but sharpened rocks, managed to avoid infection, sever arteries and nerves, and keep the patient alive for years. And painkillers, forget it. This was raw, primitive medicine, possibly done on a child who would later grow into adulthood with one leg, navigating harsh mountain terrain, and likely relying on others for support. This wasn't just surgery. It was compassion, community, and skill far ahead of its time. Of course, not all ancient stories are inspiring. Some are dark, twisted, and downright evil. In a Neolithic grain silo in France, dating back 5,500 years, archaeologists uncovered 3 female skeletons. What they found disturbed them deeply. 2 of the women were found in agonizing, contorted positions, crushed beneath heavy grindstones, buried alive. Bound so tightly, their legs were tied to their necks, likely forcing them to strangle themselves. The 3rd woman? She lay on top of the others, unbound. A chilling placement, possibly symbolic. This wasn't random. This was ritualistic and meticulously planned to coincide with the solstice, when the sun would shine directly on the burial site. A brutal sacrifice, a message written in bones. Fast forward to 10,000 years ago, Los Angeles, California, long before the Hollywood sign. Among the tar pits of La Brea, where mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and dire wolves once roamed, archaeologists uncovered the remains of a woman, the only prehistoric human found in the pits. She was young, between 18 and 30. She ate stone-ground meals that wrecked her teeth. But most telling of all, her skull was fractured, her jaw broken, and she had a hole in her head. The verdict? Murder. Possibly LA's oldest homicide. She didn't fall into the tar. Someone put her there to hide what they'd done. Think drowning is only possible near water. Think again. In the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, a 5,500-year-old skeleton was found buried atop seashells. The man had no wounds, no signs of disease. But when his bones were tested, scientists found diatoms, tiny algae that only end up in the body when someone inhales seawater deep into their lungs. In other words, he drowned. But how? He lived by the sea. He swam. He hunted fish. Maybe one dive went too deep. Maybe he got stuck. Maybe a wave hit just wrong. And the twist? He didn't die alone. 3 others, a man, a woman, and an infant, were buried with him. Possibly killed in the same seismic event, or just an eerie coincidence. Either way, life and death in the ancient desert was as brutal as it gets. Now, here's something that sounds straight out of a nightmare. Trepanation, the ancient surgery of drilling a hole into someone's skull. 6,500 years ago in Neolithic France, nearly 33% of skulls uncovered had signs of trepanation. That's 1 in 3 people. Why? Theories range from treating epilepsy, head trauma, or even migraines, and sometimes just for spiritual reasons. But survival wasn't common. Over 60% of the skulls showed no signs of healing, meaning most patients died from blood loss, infection, or trauma during the procedure. They used stone knives, even seashells. And yes, there were no painkillers. Imagine the agony, the screaming. And yet, this method was performed on adults and children. A desperate attempt at healing, often ending in death. Meet Moa, a bog body found in Germany's peatlands. She was just a teenager, around 17 to 19, yet her body told the story of a lifetime of suffering. She had 2 severe, healed skull fractures, suggesting multiple blows to the head, a benign tumor pressing on her brain, chronic malnutrition, back pain, curved spine, and inflamed legs from years of hard labor carrying heavy loads through wet marshes. Her life was pain. Her death? A mystery. She was found naked, alone, no belongings, no grave goods, which suggests she was hidden, dumped, or discarded. And if that wasn't bad enough, when she was found in 2000, her remains were accidentally shredded by a machine, requiring scientists to stitch her back together like a jigsaw puzzle. Even in death, she couldn't catch a break. In Latvia, the remains of a 20-year-old man were discovered, his bones infected by Yersinia pestis. Sound familiar? It should. That's the bacteria behind the Black Death and the Justinian Plague, which would go on to kill over 100 million people. But this man was the first known human to die from it. He was bitten by a rodent and unknowingly became patient 0 for one of the deadliest diseases in history. The Neolithic era was no stranger to violence. Across the world, archaeologists have found over 100 mass murder sites. Some victims were stabbed, burned, dismembered, even cannibalized. Sometimes it was warfare, sometimes ritual, sometimes just survival. Whatever the reason, ancient humans had creativity and a deep capacity for cruelty. If there's one thing history teaches us, it's that the past was not a kind place. Shark attacks, skull drills, burials alive, epidemics, murders, cannibalism. Our ancestors endured unthinkable horrors. Some survived, many didn't. And while modern life isn't perfect, maybe we should be a little more thankful for antibiotics, shelter, and not being sacrificed during the solstice. Because compared to them, we're living in a golden age of comfort. Thanks for watching Extinct Animal TV. If you found this as mind-blowing and chilling, as we did, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know which death shocked you the most.